Saludos amigos, bienvenidos a una nueva edición del Calentón. And my guest today is Lucha Lit, Lince Dorado.
Yeah, baby. Thank you. Mucho gusto todo. Año nuevo a todo mi gente de Puerto Rico, todos latinos. What's up, everybody around the world? I'm excited to be here. And Carlos, thank you for having me on
Oh,
your
pleasure.
podcast, dude.
Well, I'm going to start obviously right from the beginning. Many people know, and the people that don't know, you come from Puerto Rico. And my first connection with Lince Dorado is a match that you have with John 450 a couple of
Mhm.
years ago. And that was before even WWE was a thing on your career yet. And I remember that match was a banger, and everybody started talking about you. And 1 year later, we see you on the Cruiserweight Classic, and I think that everybody gets to know you at that point. But at least on this side, at least in Puerto Rico and all that, but you at that moment you were a recognized name in the independent circuit in United States. How Lince Dorado starts like making his waves into the wrestling business?
So, real quick, going back to the Lucha con 450, Mecha with, I think it's 100% Lucha Libre, right? I
Yeah,
think that's what it
yes,
was. Yeah.
that's a project from a friend, another podcaster that is called Albert. He started doing
Yeah.
that, and I remember that match on a small place in Ponce. I
I
remember.
loved it. I loved it though. Because
Yeah,
I wrestle, yo lucha como tres veces en Puerto Rico. One for WWL, World Wrestling League.
yeah.
I don't know if they're around anymore, but I did one show in La Arena de Jose. I forget what the name was, but it was me
Uh,
450 and another guy named Noriega versus Laredo Kid and two Mexicans. And I love the atmosphere of the Puerto Rican fans because when I was little, I used to, mi abuela's house, watch WWC Puerto Riqueño wrestling and everything like that. And I was obsessed. I said, one day I want to wrestle for my people in Puerto Rico. Then I wrestled for WWL. And then, man, like almost maybe like 5 years, didn't wrestle in Puerto Rico for a lot of reasons, a lot of like politics and stuff like that. But finally they hit me up. I was already going to WWE, but I wanted to wrestle one more time in Puerto Rico before I left. And the only person I wanted to wrestle was the king of Puerto Rico, Mr. Mecca with 450 at that time. He was everywhere. He was WWC champion, and he was a good friend of mine. Aquí he vive in Florida for a little bit, and he was in my group. So he's the best for me, the best Puerto Rican wrestler right now in the world. Um, I I got my start. My family is from Puerto Rico, but when I was little, they moved to New Jersey, and so I'm the first Puerto Rican in my family to not be from Puerto Rico. My mom, my grandmom, everybody was from Puerto Rico, but I always loved my people. I love my island and my flag and everybody. But I love the lucha libre también, like Mexican. I just love everything about it. I love wrestling, period. I love all wrestling, period. But one day I said, you know what? I want to wrestle all over the world. I want to be, como like Batman. I want to wrestle in a mask for a little bit and you know, just wrestle everywhere. So I wrestled in Philadelphia con a school called Chikara, and they advertised lucha libre. But when I went there, it was like gringos teaching lucha libre, and I was like, wait a minute, this isn't lucha libre, man. This is just como pro wrestling, like wrestling in American. But then they brought two Mexicans over. They brought over Skyda, who is a maestro de lucha libre in Mexico and Japón. He teaches the New Japan Pro Wrestling now, the lucha libre style, because a lot of people don't know in Japan they teach lucha libre style before they teach wrestling. And then they brought over Pantera, who was in the WWF in the 90s. And they said, you want to learn real wrestling, real lucha libre, come to Mexico. So I went for 6 months. And then when I came back, I was the only American besides Calisto or Samurai del Sol who was doing authentic lucha libre. and I wanted to take my style that I learned from there and the style from like Puerto Rico and Japan and America and put it all together to make my style today. So I'm fortunate and más feliz that I was able to travel and learn from everybody, all styles, American, Japanese, lucha libre, strong style, shoot style. Because I'm a fighter too. I love fighting. I like fighting. I like jujitsu. I like wrestling. But at the end of the day, yeah, I was very fortunate and happy that I was able to not only wrestle in Puerto Rico, but to become a name on the independent scene.
Uh, for the independent scene, Chikara is like a religion. Is something that is really picking off nowadays because of all the wrestlers that came from that project and eventually got all the success that they have. But there's a
Mhm.
name over there, Claudio Cesaro, that many people, and I read
The best.
from interviews for you. How big of an influence is Claudio for you and your career all around?
First of all, the best base in the world of professional wrestling. He went him and he was one of my trainers too, Claudio and Chris Hero, and they went to the Villano school in Mexico to learn the lucha libre style and the base, because the base, that's the problem right now with lucha libre. When I watch wrestling on the independencies, is no offense, but it's mucho gringos has it como lucha libre, and it doesn't look right. It doesn't look natural because they don't know the technique, they don't know the style. They see it because they see it on YouTube. That's it. Rather than like go to Mexico and train with real luchadors and practice what you're gonna be doing. But Claudio, man, the strongest guy I ever been in the ring with, más fuerte, strong, fast. He's smart, a very good guy. He's never been como malo, like he's never been, bad to me. He's always been very good. I still message him every day. Um, every week we talk, and we used to make gear. He used to make his own gear, and I used to make. Well, I make my own gear now too. I make everything, but he was the first person that I saw make his wrestling gear. You know what's important right here? So Claudio was the first independent wrestler that I saw because I used to do backyard wrestling. Me, like five guys in NXT right now used to be in the same backyard, right? And we went to a show in Philadelphia called CZW. And this, I never heard of independent wrestling before. I thought it was WWE, ECW, WCW, or, like Lucha Libre or WWC. I never knew about American independence. I went to the show in Philadelphia for CZW called Best of the Best, La Mejor de la Mejor, right?
Mhm.
And if I went to a different show and saw like trash wrestling, American wrestling, I would have been like, maybe I'll do MMA or something, right? But the Best of the Best had the best of the best, and Claudio was the first guy to come out, and he looked like a wrestler. His music, the way he wrestled, I was like, wow, this guy's like a superstar. Like, why is he here, not in WWE or WWF or anywhere? And ever since then, I was like, you know what? That's a good dude, smart, strong. Like, I want to be like that and more. So he's got a big influence on my career. And honestly, if it wasn't for Claudio, maybe Lince Dorado no estaba aquí.
Well, when you speak about all that, knowing that backyard wrestling, all this background that you explained from your career, you eventually land in WWE. How that's happened? How you went from this independent guy that thought that wrestling was just WWE, WWC, and all that, to eventually going to WWE and be part of that cruiserweight tournament that they began developing when Triple H got more influence over there. And when I saw that tournament, in my opinion, that was the best of the best. They got the best from every single independent community wrestler, small wrestling companies I remember John being there, 450 being there
Mhm.
as a replacement. I remember Rich Swan, Kota Ibushi, Zack Sabre Jr.
Everybody,
Deep
the best.
every the best. They called the best for that tournament, and you were there. And also the other stuff. You said something that I wanted to talk a little bit. You talked that many wrestlers, gringos, and from other places, they try to do lucha libre with video game stuff, YouTube stuff. Uh, that's something that is really happening more often that probably wrestling fans and people that follow wrestling for a lot of years. And I think that other wrestlers too feel that that is some kind of disrespectful, that because you saw that move and, oh, okay, I have the agility to do it. I maybe have the high flying ability to do it, but maybe you doesn't execute it well
Mhm.
because you doesn't have that background, and it looks some kind of spot fest like people used to call it, but it looks like that. And for me, especially for me as a fan and as a podcaster too, sometimes when you see lucha libre, you know that it's lucha libre, and
Yeah.
it have a sequence. But sometimes wrestlers just wanted to put it over there. I want to do this spot, I want to do this, and maybe the logical aspect of the wrestling, it get lost in the way.
Yeah. So I talked about everything real quick, but the Cruiserweight Classic, there's only been one, right? There's been two May Young Classics, but there's only been one. And there was talk about a second one, but then when they came to like, okay, who's out in the independent scene that we could get, there's nobody. You got everybody. Everybody in the first tournament was the best one. So if you did a part two, there's no way that they're gonna be at the same level as part one, because everybody in part one, every match was
Man,
banging, 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 banging to the finals, and then it was a roller coaster. That was the best tournament and the time of my wrestling career. I was making wrestling gear for mucha gente de NXT, Bailey, Charlotte, Neville, Sammy Callahan when he was there, and some other people. So they were like, "Hey, they might be a tournament coming up. Just to let you know, you should email them." I said, "Okay." This was like a year and a half before.
okay.
So I said, okay, let me get an email. So Sammy Callahan gave me one email, and I send the como like the same email once a month for 14 months. 14
Holy
months, 1
shit.
year and 2 months. And then finally the person answered me. He said, Mira, if we wanted you, you would know. And other people might have been like, ooh, that's bad. Like, and I said, no, now I know he's reading my email. It's not going to spam or the trash. He knows who I am because he's getting my emails. A month later, I'm making gear for Bailey for forget it, SummerSlam. That's what it was. And I get a message. My phone vibrates, and I'm like, man, my phone never vibrates. It's always on silent. And I look, and it's a number from Connecticut. And I'm like, okay. So I answer. I said, hello. And he's like, hey, is this Lince? And I said, yeah, who's this? And he says, Darren. I'm like, Darren? Who the hell is Darren? He's like, oh, William Regal. I said, hold on one second. I said, Mr. Regal, I'm sorry. That was my brother. How can I help you? And that's when he asked me if I would be interested. Actually, Claudio and Gabe Sapolsky put my name in the like the talent pool. It was like, oh, you should use Lince porque he knows the American and lucha libre style and Japanese style, like he's like a hybrid. You should use him. And then he said, yeah, he said, do you want to do it? I said, yeah, no problem. And that's my first time ever being called by WWE. No tryout, no practice, nothing. So, the funny part was I hung up the phone, boom, and an hour later, TNA called me. And
Oh,
this is when they were in Orlando, in 2014 and 2016. And they said, hey, we have a, a taping in Orlando. If you can do it, please. I said, yeah, no problem. I can do it. When is it? And they said, oh, it's Tuesday, June 13th. But I was supposed to go to WWE Thursday, June 15th for WWE for the Cruiserweight Classic. So in the same week, I wrestled for TNA and WWE. The first round of the Cruiserweight Classic and TNA. Um, After my match in TNA, they offered me a contract, and I said no, I'm okay because I know WWE is gonna sign me, and this is before I even wrestle in WWE. Before I get there, because I'm like confident in myself, my
Yeah.
ability, because I'm different. I know I'm different. I know yo sabe ellos tienen luchadores, but no, they don't have one like me. I can speak English, Spanish, I could wrestle Japanese, wrestle technical, wrestle lucha libre, wrestle American, but I could do everything. I'm just not one style. So that's how I got into the Cruiserweight Classic. And then John 450, he was an alternate, and Zumbi from South America. He was supposed to be my opponent, and he didn't come. So they asked me, who do I want to wrestle? And I said John first, but then they were like, oh, we don't want Puerto Rico versus Puerto Rico because we don't have another, same country versus the same country. So I said, I knew me and John would have had a really good match because we had it before. So that's when I said, okay, give me Ali and I'll wrestle Ali. And, that's it,
Yeah.
first round. But going back to what you were saying about watching wrestlers, hacer como lucha libre in the
Mhm.
matches, I don't get upset because I know my peers and the fans watching know that that's not authentic. And I know that when they watch me, it's authentic lucha libre because I train and live in Mexico for 6 months. And my first time and a year, the other time, that I learned real authentic lucha libre from the legends, Cmll legends and maestros de la lucha libre. When I watch them, I say it's okay because I know I'm gonna do it better. So the fans
Yeah.
know that, my partners know that, my friends know that. It don't bother me when I see other people do it because you know it. I do it better. That's it. I
Yeah.
just do it better.
Yeah, being in the Cruiserweight Classic, I remember they do this. This is coming from the WWE Network. We saw the matches, and every match was a banger. I remember Champa was there, Gargano was there, Cedric Alexander, and all the best as we speak
Cedric had to
before.
lose 30 pounds.
I remember because
30 pounds, man.
I used to follow Cedric from Ring of Honor.
Uh,
And when I saw him on the match with Ibushi, that was the match that people began chanting to sign him. He was a lot of skinnier that he looks
yeah.
because he was like a big guy. And when I saw him there, he was like skinny, and I don't remember Cedric like that, but obviously that helped him a lot with his
hmm
move set. But did you thought that everybody on the cruiserweight classes is gonna get signed before it happened? Do you thought that that was a possibility, or you thought that okay, this is a tournament, probably they're gonna sign some of us, but they signed almost everybody except
Um,
from Zack Saber and Ibushi because they decided to stay independent and with New Japan.
yeah. I didn't think. I said maybe like 5 people may get signed at the end, but after the first night, we finished at like 11:30 at night, and Triple H is like, hey, we want a meeting real quick. I'm gonna thank everybody, so come to the meeting. So we went to the meeting, and he talks about the show, like, oh, great show, everybody, this is exactly what we want for this tournament. We're excited for the next round, which is a month from now, but I need to see, like, and then he starts calling like 8 people. I need to see this person, that person, this person, that person. I said, oh shit, what's happening? And then I could see them talking like, oh, they're getting signed, okay, cool. And then I was like, I want to be signed, right? I want to be signed. So the next round, I wrestled Rich Swan, and Rich told me, he's like, they really like you. I think they're gonna sign you. I said, oh, Rich, shut up. Don't say that. Like, I want it, but don't say it. Like, I want it to happen because me and Rich are good friends. And me and Rich wrestle, and then the same thing after the show. They said, okay, everybody come, let's do the meeting. And then I remember, man, July 27, 11:45. They go, we want to talk to Lince Dorado. I said, oh,
Yeah.
so I said, yes. So at that time, I was a maestro de matemática for high school. I was a math teacher. And I said, if you offer me any money more than what I'm making as a teacher, I'll sign. And they said, yeah, we'll sign you. And I said, okay, no problem. And that was it. So I reached my dream, at 28, and maybe a year later earlier, I said, man, if I turn 30 and I'm not signed by WWE, I'm okay, como retiring. And but then
Okay.
that happened. Yeah, but then that happened and changed my life and my whole, like my mind.
So you were independent wrestler and a math teacher too
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
same
Wrestle
time.
at the same time for 8 years, 7.5 years. Yeah. I did. Um, I was wrestling since I was 16, right? So in high school. And when I got to college, college was not important to me because I was just using it to get to, a backup plan. But after college, yeah, my first job was teaching, and it was perfect because I could wrestle in the weekends and not have to worry about taking off or asking my boss, "Oh, I need a day off," or
Yeah,
wrestle anyway.
yeah.
So
It's
it's
Monday
perfect
to
job.
it's Monday to Friday, so
Hmm.
technically, and you have an income that is over there, if in case you doesn't have bookings for the weekend. So you
Exactly.
will have money at least to survive.
Yeah, because
So
that's what
yeah,
it is, right? Most wrestlers are poor. The
yeah,
independent wrestlers, not poor, but like they struggle. And if they just wrestle, then they're gonna struggle. Like me, I do everything in wrestling. I make gear, I make videos, make coach, I teach, I produce, I do a lot, everything in wrestling and lucha libre I do. But most wrestlers, they can only do one thing, and that's wrestle. And sometimes that's not even, good.
yeah. I think that people sometimes and fans sometimes doesn't understand like the hustle behind all that because in this conversation I think your story a story of hustling because for 14 months you've been like emailing
All the
WWE
time.
and
Hmm.
all the time, and then you were a Matt teacher before being on the Cruiserweight Classic and all this career. So when in wrestling, and I think fans need to understand sometimes this, it's not that easy as it looks. Like
Even
it have
even even right now at my level, it's hard to get bookings because people like they're like, oh, I don't know if I have enough money, or I don't know what to do, or this or that. And I'm like, well, it's a bit. I love the hustle. I'm a hustler. Like even in WWE, I hustle all the time. Like who needs gear? Who needs this? I could do it for you, whatever. I do it now. I like it. But I think yeah, the ones that you got to be businessman first. Primero, you have to be businessman before
yeah.
luchador. Like if not, like you have to hustle too. You have to find guests, and now that's hard
Yeah,
because sometimes.
if I feel I understand y me siento en común contigo when you said 14 times an email. Sometimes for a guest coming in to the interview, maybe I need to send like 6 emails, probably with the same information, just in case that time he opens his email, he saw it, and
uh,
yeah, I got it. I got the guess, but I think that that is true, and that is something that we speak real here with the Puerto Rican wrestling.
I was
That
just about to say, man, the last time I was in Puerto Rico and I did a seminar at Vikings Gym, I think.
oh
I
yeah,
think,
yeah, that's Mike Mendoza's gym right now.
yeah. When I was there, I said, listen, you're all great wrestlers, like, great luchadores, but you're only great here in Puerto Rico. Outside of Puerto Rico, you're nobody. You need to leave and go and try new companies, new places, chances. I think a lot of, especially Puerto Rican wrestlers, and I'm not talking bad. I'm just saying some of them wait too long. I know a lot of Puerto Rican wrestlers who are great wrestlers now, but it's too late. That's the reality. It's just too late. And it's
Y-
because they didn't take the time, no offense, to leave the island, travel, come back to the island, leave the island again, travel, come back to the island, and then help other people. Like, this is what I learned here, this is what I learned there. I think too many people think like, oh, I'm a big star here. It's okay, I'm a big star here. But afuera of the island, you're nobody.
Yeah,
Nobody knows who you are. And then you get upset and bitter and, like, oh, why am I not booked, or why am I not here? You're not sending the email 14 times every month. You send it one time, and when you get no answer, you walk away.
yeah,
No, if you want it, get it. That's it. You got to get it.
yeah. That's something that I have talked about in my podcast sometimes, that we have great wrestlers over here, and I don't have a doubt about it. But there's some of them that, as you said, they're maybe too old at this moment. And saying old is not a bad thing, but too old to start traveling and all this and all that, to go into Japan, Mexico to get training. That's something that probably the newest wrestlers. So that should be something that seminars, coaches, and all that encourage the new
Well,
talent to
people
do.
don't want to pay, man. People don't want to pay for information. They hope that somebody gives it to them for free. Like when I get bookings, I say, "Hey, I I'm gonna give you one price for a seminar and match. So that way, you can get something. I can show you everything that I learned from WWE, everybody who, mentor me. Like a lot of people don't know. Like I talked to Paul Heyman a lot when I was in WWE. He liked me. Triple H liked me a lot to the point where they were giving me like help, right, to be better. But because Vince McMahon was there, it always kept all the luchadors down, and I don't want to say Hispanics down, Latinos down, but he had his projects. We weren't his project. But a lot of people, they don't want to. They think they know everything already, or they think that you can't show them anything. Or sometimes, for me, when I do seminars, people think, oh, he's going to show me lucha libre, he's going to show me that. If you can't even get in the ring como un luchador, like I can't show you lucha libre
Yeah.
moves. Like, I could show you how to be a luchador and a wrestler for TV, and, things like that. I could show you how to make the people love you and make the people hate you, which is wrestling. But if you think you know everything, or, you don't want to train, a lot of people, they train for maybe a year or two, and then that's it. I train two, 3 times a week, even when I'm wrestling. Like I love training. It's my workout, But I think a lot of people, like, they don't have the right mindset to train. They just want to watch YouTube and be like, oh, I want to do that, and then do it in the ring. And I'm like, why? ¿Por qué? Why are you doing that? Like, you don't know why you're doing that.
Yeah, because there's a reason to it. So you need to understand that reason. But you thought something right now about Vince, Paul Heyman, Triple H. After the Cruiserweight Classic, you get signed. I remember the 205 Live project that, for me as a fan, I feel that started really well, and then they went all sideways with it. And then eventually you got with the main roster, all the cruiserweight got into Raw, and you started doing matches over there. You feel that that moment was kind of downhill, and it lose the special element that the cruiserweight division bring to the WWE brand.
I don't think it did lose when, okay, so when they said the cruiserweights were going to Raw, that was news to us because we were still NXT for like 10 days. And then Stephanie is on Raw doing like, oh, by the way, we're doing the cruiserweights, the 205 is coming to Raw. And we're like, whoa, what? Like, did anybody know about this? Nobody knew about it. So when we got there, it gave us good exposure. We were getting good reactions. The problem with 205 Live is they would tape it after Raw or after SmackDown. After they
Mm.
saw 2 or 3 hours of Lucha Libre, they watch the dark match, maybe like Bray Wyatt and John Cena come out, right? They do their match, and then they finally go, okay, now here's some 205 action. Like, who's gonna watch cruiserweights after they watch John Cena, Bray Wyatt, Sheamus, all these guys, and then they went home? Like, put us on before the show, antes de the show, because now people, they want to see us. But I think somebody didn't like us before the show, because when they put us before the show like 3 or 4 times, we were getting good reaction. Like people were like, "Oh man, this is a good product," but it made the main roster work harder, and I don't think they liked working harder, because
Yeah,
the cruiserweight style is so intense. I don't want an athlete. I don't want to say athletic, but athletic. Like you got to. These are the best of the best, right? And some of us have personality, and when you compare it to the main roster work, you're like, oh, it's not the same. So I think some people didn't like that we went on first, and they were like, no, put them on last, or put them on, on NXT, so that way we don't have to compete with them. That's my opinion, but
yeah,
um,
because in terms of intensity, the matches of the cruiserweights are really fast pacing and intense in comparison. When you saw Raw or SmackDown, they almost every day they open with a segment.
mhm,
So is that moment, instead of being the moment that is gonna rise up the audience, is with you first, is a moment that they are going like downways because they
yeah,
feel excited with your matches first. So probably the first 30 minutes, 35 minutes of Raw for the people are like, mm-hmm,
yeah,
what?
popcorn. Let's go get
Yeah,
popcorn.
let's
Let's
go
get
get
food.
popcorn and let's go to the bathroom because we
Mhm.
saw good matches first. And that would make the people go earlier to the show just to see the cruiserweight actions.
Yeah.
So I think that was something that they didn't like. At least I think in that era when probably Triple H doesn't have as much control as he's have now. I think that is something that could probably happen. But
If Triple H, if the Cruiserweight Classic and 205 happened now, that's it. Like it would be the best show that WWE had. Like I watched a video on YouTube the other day. Somebody sent me, it was like the best underrated eras of WWE, and number two was the Cruiserweight, like the 205 era. And every match I believe was really really good. There was not one bad match in the classic or on the show. I believe every match was the best matches of WWE that year.
man, I remember matches of you against Neville, now called Pac,
Mhm.
with Hideo Itami, that was Kenta.
Yep, I love that.
Uh,
I loved all of those matches. Yeah.
and
My tornado
man,
tag matches with Metallic and Samurai or Kalisto. Every one of them matches, that was our specialty. That's the only reason they booked us. And that's the reason why Vince McMahon wanted us to go to Raw, because they liked our chemistry that they saw, that we were able to do lucha libre, but the TV style. And a lot of people didn't realize, like, that was me helping my teammates put it together, because Metallic Grand Metalik was a great luchador, but that's it, luchador. And then Kalisto, he was supposed to be the next Rey Mysterio, but stuff happens. So I was like the glue to put everybody together and be like, this is what we should be, and this is how we should be booked, rather than their idea of what lucha libre is, because they don't know what lucha libre is.
okay, I saw in an interview that you pitched the idea for Lucha House Party.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I remember when that all started, the cruiserweight division is like getting forgotten in a kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
So they're starting doing their stuff, but you three stay on the main roster as a normal stuff, as a regular.
Mm-hmm.
How that idea happened and how you pitch it or get it to get done, because there's a lot of wrestlers that have speak that some people that doesn't really want to talk with Vince, even though they have ideas. Maybe they were scared at the moment and all
No,
that,
they
but
scared, 1,000% scared. But how I'm talking to you is how I talk to Vince. I'm not. I don't want to know if I can say, but like, I'm not a bendejo when I talk to men. Like, if we're men, we should talk like men. I
yeah.
don't care how much money you have. I don't care if I can whoop your ass or you can whoop my ass. Let's talk, because at the end of the day, my idea might make you money, and that means it makes me money. So the idea for Lucha House Party was my idea, but it wasn't like how it was supposed, like how you see it, right? Like the piñatas and all that other stuff. Like that wasn't my idea. I wanted Lucha House Party to be like gangsters, like Santo and Blue Demon in the suits and the mascaras and like, you know, like classy. And something happened
Yeah.
where they saw the piñata and they were like, let's do that. And I said, no.
Oh, oh.
But when we were doing 205, you know, I had the idea. I said, let us talk, let us do promos, let us do segments with other people, so that way the audience can see that there's three luchadors, three different personalities, three different voices. Let us have let's talk like the Ninja Turtles. Like I wanted to be like the Ninja Turtles. You know, it's a one group of turtles, but they're all different, right? One group
Yeah.
of luchadores, but all different. So Vince saw a promo that I did with the other two, and they were like, "I want that on my show." So he said, "Okay." So I got a text message like, "Hey, you guys are going to Raw to wrestle Revival." But in my head, I said, "But the Revival only has two people. You know, we have three." They're like, "It doesn't matter. Like, we got to do something called Lucha House Party rules. Like, you got to have your own match." I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I had pitched something like that, but not as like they had it, you know.
Yeah, what they
But
had it is that you are three masked wrestlers,
mhm,
and you can use the freebird rule, but
that's it. Yeah,
it's because it doesn't matter what of the three are going on the ring. Yeah,
yeah.
it's just Lucha House Party. Not
On
it's
the
not Lince.
Yeah, and in the house shows, that people love those matches because it's supposed to be entertaining. I don't know if you know who the Harlem Globetrotters are. You watch
Yeah,
basketball?
yeah,
So the Harlem Globetrotters are not a basketball team, but they're a basketball team, right? They don't play for the NBA, but they represent basketball. And I told Vince, I said, that's what we should be for the WWE. We should be the Harlem Globetrotters that everybody loves. They love to watch us, and then we do our thing, and then we get out. And then you always make us look good. And that was, I think, their the attempt, like their try to make us look like that. But I think the piñata killed us, man. The piñata put me in the death quick, you know.
yeah. Because it makes it funny.
Hmm.
Obviously it make it a comedic act instead of a wrestling or lucha act that it was what you were attempting to do. And
Exactly.
you said the suit thing, and that was what years later they did with Santos when he debuted on NXT. I remember that he went with the mask, but he was all suit, and it
Yeah.
happened with Raul and Joaquin. They were
Hmm.
doing all this stuff, but it was a suit wise, and probably they're going back to that coming soon. But when you're talking about that stuff, I understand the point of you saying that the piñata and the comedic stuff take away everything that you were attempting to do on
Yeah,
your thing.
because I wanted to be, I don't want to be serious, but I want people to, like, when the fans saw Lucha House Party come out later, right? They were like, "Oh, this is a good group, but they're gonna lose." The WWE programmed the audience to be like, "This is a good lucha group, but they're not, our team. They're not going to be the winning team every match." So I told them that. I said, you got to make us look credible. You have to make us look like real threats, because if you just make us look like, candy and piñatas, like nobody's gonna believe that we can fight and, kick ass. But everybody knows, like that's who we are in real life, or that's who I am in real life. So I try to portray that in wrestling, but I think that hurt us. You know the I get it, it's business, I get it sells, but I think it hurt, hurt all three of us in WWE toward the end.
I think the only group that broke that stigma was New Day because the way that they book it eventually. But there was the only comedic group that actually could win matches and people know it. But
Hmm.
every time that they go with comedic a lot, especially with piñatas, cobra, trombones, and all that, you know what is going to happen. Uh, I saw an interview of you where you told about you asked for your release before you get released.
Mhm.
Uh, when you got released, uh, how it was for you? Not because in terms because if you ask your release, you have a plan in your mind, but how you start from like I've been years with WWE, and sometimes you stay over there and you said, okay, now I'm gonna need to start to boss my name again. How you make that transition after you got released from WWE?
I think my mind didn't change the day I signed with WWE. My mind didn't change. I in my head I was still independent. You know, any day this could go away, and I go back to the Indies or go back to teaching. So when I asked for my release, I didn't have a plan. I just know, okay, you'll go back to hustling like you do, and you always make it work. So don't stress, don't do nothing. Like, just worry about hustling and finding a way to make money through wrestling, whether it's lucha or make gear or video or anything, like, to make it. I don't want to work a real job. That sucks,
Yeah,
like
it
es-
sucks.
es- especially going now from real job to your dream job, and now you're coming back to like your reality is like, ugh. But I knew when I was in WWE or before that I didn't want to get fired. That if I was going to leave, it was going to be because of me. And, me and Metallic made the decision that we should go and do something else and maybe come back as a trainer or producer or whatever. Because I still have a good relationship with WWE. At the end of the day, I knew I would be okay. Like, I always be okay. I always, even in my real life, I'm okay. I don't stress about tomorrow. I don't stress about yesterday. I worry about today,
Yeah.
So that's how my mind is.
Uh, we saw you after WWE. You went to MLW. You went to New Japan Pro Wrestling, and you went with Consejo Mundial de Lucha. And I think
Mm.
Consejo Mundial de Lucha maybe was a special place for you because you speak before that 6 months that you were training in Mexico, and now got the
Mhm.
chance to be there with the real luchador, with the people that are not trying to portray, but you are learning. You're also learning, even though you're a veteran. You got that chance of being on Arena Mexico. How big for you was being over there, and not also being over there? You went with Samurai del Sol too.
Yeah,
That it was your
so
partner.
yeah, I went there before Samurai. I had a friend named Uraculo, Jay Rios. He was there kind of like before me. He wrestled there at a Grand Prix in 2000, I think 20 or 21, something like that. And he was an independent wrestler, puertorriqueño también. Pero I think he needed a como like a restart in his career, and Mexico was his restart. When I left WWE, they asked him like, "Hey, I know that's your friend. Do you think he would come to Consejo Mundial de la Lucha Libre?" And he's like, "Let me ask him." So he asked me. I said, "Yes, please." Like, but I didn't want to go like an independent wrestler. I wanted to go like a superstar. I wanted to make sure that I was wrestling Mystical, Gran Guerrero, Ultimo Guerrero, Volador Jr., all the top guys that people watch, and then they do their stuff here in America. I wanted to wrestle the original, the authentic. So when I went the first time for the Grand Prix, it was me, Tiger Mask, Mystico, Volador, Ultimo Guerrero, and other people, but Tholo had respect for me, and I respected them. They knew that I respected not only lucha libre, but I respected their career. They knew that I respect the style, that I could do the style, like not copy, but like authentic. They were like, "Oh, this is como like one of us,"
Yeah.
But so that was a big dream, like un sueño grande para me, because when I was little, man, I used to watch Consejo Mundial de la Lucha Libre with my grandpa. I used to watch WWC World Wrestling Council with my grandpa, and then to wrestle for one of the companies that I used to watch. And I told myself, I said, Papi, I'm gonna be in that ring one day. Watch me, you know. And my grandpa, before he died, he watched me one time in Mexico. So I'm I'm happy that he was. But Mexico, Arena Mexico has that to me. It might be Arena Mexico and Madison Square Garden, you know. So
Yeah.
I think that's if you want to be a luchador, no offense to AAA, but I think CMLL is the authentic lucha libre that you can get. But you know how it is. It's politics, a lot of
Yeah.
politics in Mexico. So I don't wrestle for nobody else. I can, but out of respect, you know, I got respect for Consejo and I got respect for all the luchadors that I'm friends with. You know, I talk to Mystico every day. I talk to Titan and Sobrano Jr., Guerrero, and you know all those guys. So they look at me like if I'm one of them. So for me, thank you, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, they make you feel part of them, so that's something out of
Because
respect.
they,
And
especially Mystical could have been like, you know, rude. Like he could have been like, oh, who's this guy? Who's this? You know, but he was super nice. He let me do whatever. Everybody let me do whatever. I let them do whatever. Like it was a lot of respect that we all had for each other.
that's awesome. You talk about Consejo Mundial de Lucha, but also you mentioned WWC. Coming to Puerto Rico is something that you're looking forward on 2024, because
Mhm.
I saw your social media, and you are doing your bookings for this next year, for this new year, and you have been everywhere. After WWE, I saw you that you were doing training over there with some of the guys in the performance
Mhm.
center. We saw you on New Japan Pro Wrestling, Strong with Metallica over there. So you've been everywhere. You have been on AEW
AEW,
too.
TNA, Impact, yeah. I've wrestled for every country, every big company in the world except for WWC. What's up, WWC?
That's something that not bother you, but that's something that you want to take out of your list this
It bothers
2024.
me, man. Trust me, it
Yeah,
bothers me
got it.
because I'm a little upset that my people don't want to use me. I don't know why. No, I don't care. But I'm like, I should be in WWC like the day after I got released. I should have had somebody call me like, "Hey, you want to come wrestle over here?" Of course, I want to come wrestle over there. But I don't know. I don't know if it's like you get stuck on the island and just only focus on the island, right? Or I don't know. Or a lot of people like, oh, maybe he lives in Mexico. Like, you know, that's a big thing. People think I'm Mexican and I live in Mexico. Like, no, I'm Puerto Rican, American, live in Florida. Like, I'm pretty close to Puerto Rico, but man, it seems to be every company in Puerto Rico hits me up besides WWC. So I feel I am a little, I don't want to say angry, but I'm like a little, I don't know what the word is, but I wish I wish the relationship and situation was a little different.
Yeah, because obviously that's the company that you saw as a child, and that's something that you want to do. And now that you are an independent wrestler, coming to Puerto Rico is more easier than it was before because of politics, as you said at the beginning of this interview.
Hmm.
And I think, as a personal opinion, there's many good young wrestlers that are training on this junior heavyweight or cruiserweight division that also could learn a lot of fighting with you, and could be good matches. And
I try to hit up everybody. I try to hit up and message like luchadores and be like, who can I contact? You know, and it seems I send like the same thing. I send the same email, you know, every month. Like, or I send, you know, I ask somebody every month, hey, who can I talk to? Like, I talk to Primo, Orlando, or you know, anybody, and I just get stuck. I don't know, and I think it's a lot of politics. A lot of people like worried about their spot. You know, like, oh, I gotta keep my spot. I can't have no competition, like, because they know I'm competition. You know, you look at me, I'm totally different. I'm not a regular luchador, and I feel like that could be it, or it could be like people just don't know, and that's okay too. You know, but at the end of the day, there's enough Puerto Ricanos out there, luchadores Puerto Ricanos, that they should know who I am, and you know, if they want it, they want it. But at the end of the day, I'm not gonna beg either. You know, I'll do the work, but I'm not gonna beg you. And you know, in my mind, if bigger companies are asking for me to come there because they see value, then that's okay. You know, if the lower companies or smaller ones are the ones, you know, that aren't using me, aren't using me, that's fine too. You know, I'm just gonna get better every time I wrestle, and then that's going to be harder for them to book me, because then, you know, if I get better and work better companies, then I'm going to ask for more money. And the people I wrestle for now, I either give you my booking price or my brother price. And the brother price I give to a lot of people because they take care of me. They book me, they take care of me. And, you know, I'm not going to worry about, oh, I need 8 bookings this month to pay my bills. Like, I know that I'm gonna deliver and come back. So I hope WWC and some of the other Puerto Rican companies, they bring me out so I can help not only train people but also on their show wrestle and you know, showcase that I am the best.
Yeah. Speaking of something about luchador, one of the most important things for luchadors are their mask. And probably this is one of the closing part of this interview, but I saw a tweet from you that you were talking about probably hanging up the mask, maybe lose it, or maybe said, fuck it, I'm going to leave it behind. That's something that have been on your mind for a while. It's because you want to portray another stuff in your career, or doing like a reboot of yourself?
I think like a little reboot. I had the idea always, like day one. Like, I know I'm never gonna wrestle in the mask all the time. Um, People always say like, "Oh, why do you wrestle with the mask? You have a good face and you wrestle like good, you know, facial and everything." I just say I like money. The mask makes me money. That's it. But yeah, I think it's coming soon. I don't know if I'm gonna lose it or like get rid of it, but I think it's coming soon. Because I need a reboot. I feel like Lince Dorado, Luchale Lince Dorado has done everything that he can. You know, I feel like now I need to do what I want to do. But I may have already wrestled without the mask and people just don't know, you know? So sometimes I'll do shows and people don't know that it's me because I don't advertise it as, oh, this is Lince Dorado. I'm trying new things so that way when it's time and ready, I'm ready. You know, yo soy listo para todo. So
Yeah, and also
one day.
people when they see you without the mask and you began advertise it, oh shit, I saw him before and I didn't recognize him. So people move that brand value over there. So you're working on that way, in little steps. Man, it was a pleasure having you here. We speak a lot. I think that we cover everything, closing up in your career. There's a message that you have for the audience, the Latin audience, all the fans, and probably the fans in Puerto Rico too, that are looking forward to seeing you soon.
Yo, mi gente de Puerto Rico, I love you all. I really do. I don't care what anybody says. You guys are my purpose. My family and my people, my gente, is my purpose for why I do what I do. I want to represent, and I hope I'm representing my people and my island and my flag, you know, as best as I can. I always said that I'm, you know, a Puerto Rican luchador. Never said I'm a Mexican luchador. And I'm very proud of that. I'm proud that my kids are Puerto Rican. They love being Puerto Rican. You know, I love my people. So I love you all. For all the Puerto Rican luchadores, please invest in yourself, because nobody's gonna invest in you. You have to invest in yourself first. So if you have to be your biggest fan before anybody else. So you know, I always say peace, love, and lucha libre for everybody, but I really do mean it, especially to my people on the island.
Well, thank you for having you here, gente. Gracias por estar en la entrevista. Denle like, suscríbanse, pendiente a todo lo que está haciendo Lince Dorado. Esperamos verlos pronto en
Lucha
Puerto
lit.
Rico. Así que hasta la próxima. Nos vemos. Cuídate.
Cuídate todo.